Welcome everyone. Today, we're diving really deep into what GTA 6 could be. We spent hours, thousands of hours if we add it all up, going through the massive leaks of 2022. You know, the ones that shook the internet. We also dissected the patents filed by Rockstar, those technical documents that often hide gems about future game mechanics. And of course, we analyzed the official trailers frame by frame. The objective? Well, it's simple. Go beyond the obvious, it will be more beautiful, to uncover the real innovations, those that might completely transform our gaming experience in a GTA. We're going to try to distill all that to highlight the key discoveries that seemed the craziest, the most promising to us.
That's exactly the idea. It's not just about listing futures, but understanding how they interlock, how they will change the way we interact with the world of Vice City, or rather, Leonida. We're not just talking about a graphical improvement, even though obviously it promises to be sumptuous, right? What we're aiming for here is to grasp the systemic overhaul that seems to be brewing behind the scenes. We will tackle topics like the police system, which seems to have undergone a major overhaul. We will talk about the artificial intelligence of NPCs, which promises to be much more lively, more reactive, the physics, the animations, with the engine making a strong comeback but improved, the immersion in vehicles, the interactivity with the environment, and then obviously all these new gameplay mechanics that are emerging, sometimes inspired by Red Dead Redemption 2, but adapted to the GTA universe. It's really an in-depth analysis that we offer you.
Great program. So let's dive right in with a big topic, the police system. If the leaks are true, we are very far from the current system in GTA 5, where the cops magically know where we are, even hidden in a dark alley. Here, we're talking about a description system, meaning...
What would the police base it on?
On the vehicle we're driving?
On our physical appearance?
Both.
That would change absolutely everything, wouldn't it? Oh, completely. It might be one of the most impactful developments if it turns out to be true. Imagine, you commit a crime, let's say a quick robbery. You escape in a very recognizable car, a red sports car for example, even if you lose the first patrol, even if you no longer have active wanted stars. Well, the information circulates. Suspect fleeing in a red sports car? Wear a floral shirt. As long as you haven't changed cars or clothes, any patrol that crosses your path could recognize you and raise the alert again. This is what the leaks called a soft wanted level, a soft or latent wanted level if you prefer. You're no longer actively pursued, but you're still flagged. It forces you to be much smarter, to get rid of evidence in a way, change vehicles quickly, find a hideout to change clothes.
Wow, that would make the chases much more immersive, more tactical. Gone are the days when you just had to hide in a corner for 2 minutes and poof, everything was forgotten. Here, there would be a real persistence of the threat, and it ties into the idea that the police would no longer be omniscient. You were saying they would need visual contact or at least a reliable description to act.
That's it. No more magical detection through walls or from miles away. According to leaked information and analysis of certain sequences, a witness or a police officer would need to see you commit the offense or see you match the description for it to trigger something. If you commit a crime in an isolated area without witnesses, the police won't show up instantly as if by magic. They need to be called, receive a description, and patrol. This opens the door to much more advanced stealth strategies. Choosing the right time, the right place, neutralizing potential witnesses becomes crucial.
We would almost be getting closer to a simulation, in a way. And as for the response time, I read somewhere, still in those famous leaks, that there could be a visible timer.
Yes, that too is interesting information from the leaks. The idea would be that the time before the police arrive depends on the severity of the crime and where it is committed. If you commit a minor offense in a remote area, like you steal a car without making a fuss, the response might be slow or even non-existent if no one reports it. On the other hand, if you start a shootout in the city center, then the timer would be very short and you might see a countdown on the screen indicating the imminent arrival of the first units. That would add enormous pressure and force the player to constantly evaluate the risk versus the reward. Do I have time to finish what I'm doing before it gets out of control?
It's clear. It forces reflection and anticipation. We're no longer in the simple, I shoot at everything that moves and we'll see. There's a much stronger notion of consequence, and this increased intelligence, this more realistic reactivity, I imagine we would also find it in the NPCs, the passers-by, the other drivers.
Absolutely. It's another pillar of this systemic overhaul. Rockstar has filed some quite fascinating patents on NPC artificial intelligence, including one concerning their navigation in the world. The stated goal is to make road traffic and even water navigation much smoother and more realistic. Hopefully, those monstrous and completely absurd traffic jams that form for no apparent reason in GTA 5 will be a thing of the past. NPCs would be able to better anticipate, better react to obstacles, and choose more logical routes. It may seem like a detail, but for immersion and the credibility of the world, it's fundamental. Traffic that works well changes everything.
To decide if the spontaneous pileups at every street corner was still absurd. peculiar. And beyond the driving, there were also clues about their appearance, right? A system of tags or...
Exactly. Another system mentioned, potentially related to AI, is the use of contextual tags to determine the appearance and behavior of NPCs based on location and time. Basically, instead of having generic NPCs wandering anywhere, the game could tag certain areas. For example, a beach area would see more NPCs in swimsuits, jogging, etc. A business district area would have more NPCs in suits during office hours. Near a gym, you would encounter people in sportswear. In front of a fast food restaurant, perhaps different profiles. It's subtle, but it greatly contributes to making each neighborhood more unique, more lively, more credible. No more NPCs that seem completely out of context.
These are the kinds of details that, when put together, create a much stronger atmosphere. And it reminds me of a very striking image from the first trailer. This view like an Instagram story or TikTok with lots of short videos showing life in Vice City, Leonida. Could that be more than just a stylistic effect? Could the NPCs really use social media in the game?
Here, we are touching on something potentially revolutionary and very Rockstar in spirit, meaning a satire of our current society integrated into the gameplay. The idea suggested by the trailer and some speculations is that the NPCs would no longer just be anonymous passers-by. Some might have a digital life. They could post photos, videos of their activities, including potentially the player's activities. Imagine you perform a spectacular car stunt, or worse, you commit a crime and a nearby NPC takes out their phone, films you, and posts it on a fictional social network in the game, like Life Invader or its equivalent in GTA 6.
Ooh la la, the consequences could be huge. It could alert the police, right? Or attract the attention of other NPCs or even rival gangs.
Exactly. It opens up completely crazy emergent gameplay possibilities. A video of you stealing a luxury car could go viral in the game, making that car very recognizable or attracting bounty hunters if a reward is offered. Conversely, maybe you could use these social networks to your advantage, cover your tracks, spread false rumors, monitor the activities of certain targets. It's an incredible potential for environmental storytelling, social satire. We can already imagine parodies of influencers, stupid challenges, but also creating unpredictable and dynamic game situations based on the player's actions and the digital reactions of the surrounding world.
It's dizzying as a possibility. It really grounds the game in our era while creating fascinating new mechanics. Let's move on to another key area, physics and animations. GTA has always been known for that, and Red Dead Redemption 2 set the bar very high. What can we expect from GTA 6 with this famous, improved engine?
This procedural physics engine that worked wonders in GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption to realistically simulate human reactions, especially falls and impacts. He returns, and visibly, in a much improved version. From what we could gather from leaks and analyses, there is a desire to go even further in the detail and realism of animations and physical reactions. For example, there is talk of characters who could limp persistently after a leg injury, not just for a few seconds. The impact of bullets could differently affect mobility or vision. Aiming based on the area hit, if you take a bullet in the arm, maybe your aim will become less stable or you'll have trouble using heavy weapons.
It completely changes the approach to shootouts. It's no longer just a health bar going down. There's a tangible impact on a character's abilities. It would make the confrontations much more tense, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Each injury could matter, forcing you to play differently, to take cover more intelligently, maybe even to avoid combat if you're already hurt. And that's where a new feature spotted in the leaks comes in, the trauma kits. It's something quite new for GTA, which was more used to magical health kits or regenerating food.
Trauma kits? What could that imply? Is it just to regain health, or does it go further?
This is where speculation becomes interesting. Given the context of more detailed animation and localized impact of injuries, we can imagine several uses. The most obvious would be to treat specific injuries, which cause added penalties, stopping a bleeding that makes you lose life gradually, stabilizing a fracture that prevents you from running. It would add a much deeper layer of health management than simply picking up a medkit. You might need to choose the right type of care, take the time to apply it, which would make you vulnerable for a few seconds.
A bit like in Red Dead Redemption 2, where you had to take the time to eat or prepare a tonic.
Exactly. This idea of a contextual action that takes a bit of time and adds to realism and attention. Another possibility, still related to RDR2, would be to use these kits to revive a partner. We know that GTA 6 will feature a duo of protagonists, Jason and Lucia. Maybe if one of them is seriously injured to the point of being incapacitated, the other could use a trauma kit to get them back on their feet, similar to how we could do with our horse in RDR2 after it was shot down.
Yes, it would be an interesting cooperation mechanic, even when playing solo and switching between characters. It would strengthen the bond between them and the importance of covering each other. So, finer animations, more realistic reactions to injuries, more tactical healing, and the environment itself. Does it contribute to this effort for realism?
Oh yes, the leaks and trailers show quite an advanced attention to environmental details. We're talking about things like sweat becoming visible on characters after exertion or under the heat of Leonida, condensation forming on cold surfaces, puddles that persist after rain and reflect the environment more realistically. We even saw details like dead leaves or debris on the road that react dynamically to passing vehicles, flying away in a believable manner.
These are the kinds of details that may seem trivial, but when accumulated, create a much stronger sensory immersion. You can almost feel the heat, the humidity.
That's exactly the goal, I think. To create a world that is not just a backdrop, but a tangible environment that reacts, that has its own atmosphere. When you combine that with the enhanced physics of characters and vehicles, you potentially get a level of hyper-realism that's quite stunning for an open-world game of this scale.
And speaking of scale and environment, there is a persistent rumor based on another Rockstar patent concerning building interiors. The older GTA games were often criticized for having many decorative, inaccessible buildings. What does this patent tell us?
This famous patent on procedural interior generation is a potentially very important piece of technology. The general idea of the patent is to describe a system capable of automatically generating the interior layout of a building based on keywords or tags defining the type of building, house, store, office, and potentially its style or condition: new, dilapidated, luxurious. Basically, instead of developers having to furnish and decorate each one manually,
basis of each accessible building, this system could do it automatically by following predefined rules to keep it consistent.
Wait, does that mean we could potentially enter many more buildings than in the previous GTAs?
I heard figures like 70% of accessible buildings.
Leslie, that seems huge.
this is the most optimistic speculation stemming from this patent. Yes, the figure of 70% is a rumor. We must remain cautious, but the potential is there. If Rockstar has developed an effective technology to generate varied and credible interiors without excessive manual work for every small apartment or store, then yes, it could radically change the game. Imagine a city where the vast majority of doors are not just textures, but real entrances to explorable spaces. For pure exploration, it's great. For infiltration missions, foot chases, hiding possibilities, or setting ambushes, it opens up immense tactical perspectives.
It would completely transform the structure of the game. Gone would be the impression of a city that's just a facade. We would have real depth, a new density. It would indeed be a major advancement. And this trend of drawing inspiration from the more realistic systems of Red Dead Redemption 2 is apparently also found in the weaponry. Gone is the magic wheel, where you pull a rocket launcher out of your pocket.
This is another big expectation, largely fueled by leaks showing an inventory and weapon carrying system much closer to RDR2 than GTA 5. In RDR2, we remember that Arthur could physically carry only 2 long weapons, rifle, shotgun on his back or shoulder, and 2 handguns in his holsters. The rest of the arsenal had to be stored on his horse's saddle. The leaks of Grand Theft Auto 6 strongly suggest a similar system. We saw animations where the character picks up a weapon from the ground and visibly places it on their back. We saw mentions of limited inventory, the need to store weapons in the trunk of a vehicle.
Goodbye to the portable walking arsenal. It radically changes the approach, doesn't it? You would need to plan your equipment before each mission, before each potentially dangerous outing.
But completely, it's a break from decades of GTA tradition where you accumulated dozens of weapons accessible instantly via the wheel. Here, you would have to make choices. Do I take a sniper rifle just in case, but it will weigh me down? Do I prioritize a shotgun for close combat? Or do I leave my big weapons in the car and keep only a discreet pistol? This imposes a much more important strategic and preparation dimension. Choosing your loadout would become a significant decision, not just a formality. And it also reinforces the role of vehicles, which would no longer be just means of transport, but also mobile bases for storing equipment.
It's a much more simulation-based approach. Once again, very consistent with the other elements we've discussed. And does this immersion continue into the interiors of the cars?
Yes, absolutely. The details spotted in the leaks about the interiors of the vehicles are quite incredible and push immersion even further, especially for those who like to play in first-person view. We're talking about a fully functional dashboard, not just moving gauges, but potentially interactive touchscreens, precise gauges, and indicator lights that actually turn on. The most striking feature is the ability to use the car's built-in GPS directly in first-person view. This would allow immersion purists to completely disable the on-screen minimap and navigate the old-fashioned way by following the directions on the car's screen.
Oh, that's great for immersion. Getting a bit lost, really having to look at the signs or your GPS. And were there other possible interactions inside?
Yes, the leaks showed a crazy amount of possible interactions with this interior. We're talking about being able to adjust the position of the mirrors, the seat inclination, the position of the sun visor, details that might seem cosmetic but enhance the feeling of truly being in control. And an interaction that could have real gameplay interest, being able to adjust the height of the power windows. You could, for example, lower the window just a bit for a drive-by,
Shoot while driving without having to break it completely, which would be more discreet.
It's crazy, the level of detail. Every little interaction adds a layer of realism. And the driving itself, the physics of the vehicles, we know where they want to go. More the heavy and realistic side of GTA 4 or the more arcade and accessible style of GTA 5?
That's the big question. And Rockstar is probably looking for the holy grail, a balance between the two. GTA 4 was appreciated by some for its realism, heavy suspension, inertia, but criticized by others for its heaviness precisely. GTA 5 is much more arcade-like, easier to handle, but perhaps lacks a bit of weight, of sensation. The echoes and analyses of the few seconds of driving seen in the leaks suggest they are aiming for a compromise, driving that would have weight, responsiveness, marked differences between vehicle types, but that would remain fun and manageable. And above all, there seems to be a return to a more advanced, more impactful damage model. We saw clear mentions of fuel leaks during or after a crash or shots on the tank, a mechanic that existed in the older GTA games but had disappeared. Imagine a chase where you have to manage your fuel gauge that is dangerously dropping.
Yes, the panic of seeing the gauge drop during a chase and other types of breakdowns.
Yes, we're also talking about more serious breakdowns that could completely immobilize the vehicle. Not just cosmetic damage or a slight drop in performance, but an engine that fails, a wheel that locks up, making a car completely unusable and forcing you to urgently find another one. It gives importance back to damage, makes collisions more significant, no more crashing your car into every wall and continuing as if nothing happened.
It complicates everything, actually. Even just stealing a car could become more complicated, right? If we follow this logic of increased realism.
Exactly. Gone are the days of simply pressing a button to pick any lock in 2 seconds. The leaks contained references to specialized tools that might be necessary to steal certain types of vehicles. We saw names like immobilizer bypass, jammer, USB drive. This suggests that there could be different methods to steal a car, perhaps depending on its security level. It might be necessary to acquire these tools or develop specific skills, and above all, there would be a risk of failure. The leaked code mentioned lines like steal car fail, failure of car theft.
So we could get caught trying to steal a car, trigger an alarm, or simply not succeed.
It's entirely possible. It would turn car theft, which is still a central activity in GTA, into a mini-game of its own, with its own risks, skills, and tools. No longer just a formality, but a considered action, especially if targeting a valuable or well-protected vehicle.
All this is part of a desire to make the world more interactive, more coherent, more alive, ultimately. And this life is not limited to humans and cars, as the trailer showed quite a bit about nature and wildlife.
Indeed, the first trailer already emphasized the ecosystem of Leonida, which is inspired by Florida. We saw alligators in pools, flamingos, dogs on the beach, but especially a marine life that seems much richer and more visible than in previous installments. We clearly see dolphins jumping near the shores, sharks lurking. This suggests that underwater exploration, already present in GTA 5, could be even more developed, with more things to see and perhaps more dangers as well.
Wrecks to explore, perhaps? Florida and the Caribbean. It's an area rich in pirate stories, sunken treasures.
It's just very plausible speculation. The leaks mentioned various underwater points of interest and the idea of explorable wrecks, whether they are ancient pirate galleons or modern planes, sunken ships, would fit perfectly with the atmosphere and adventure potential of the region. Some even go so far as to imagine references to the Bermuda Triangle, which is precisely in this geographical area. Who knows what Rockstar might hide in the depths? Mysteries, Easter eggs, specific missions. The potential is there.
It makes you want to grab your mask and snorkel. And beyond the wildlife and exploration, there is a central element in GTA 6, which is the duo of protagonists, Jason and Lucia. Do we know how their relationship will work? Could it influence the gameplay or the story? A bit like the honor system in RDR2.
It is one of the big questions, but also one of the most exciting promises. Having two playable protagonists in tandem is a first for a GTA launch. Even though GTA 5 had 3 characters, they were not introduced together from the start. The dynamic between Jason and Lucia seems to be at the heart of the story, like a modern Bonnie and Clyde. And yes, many players hope and speculate on a relationship system that goes beyond a simple linear story. The idea of a system inspired by the honor of Red Dead Redemption 2 is often mentioned. The choices we would make, the actions we would take with one character could influence how the other character reacts, available dialogues, and perhaps even certain missions or opportunities.
Could this lead to different developments in their relationship, or even alternative endings?
It's the dream of many, that our actions have a real impact on the evolution of their relationship. Do they become stronger, more conflicted, more distrustful? And could this lead to different conclusions for their story? It would provide replayability and a narrative depth quite unprecedented for the GTA series, which has often been more focused on satire and action than on deep and evolving interpersonal relationships. It's a very strong narrative potential.
Absolutely. It adds an extra layer of emotional involvement. And to end on a note of ambition, let's talk about the famous Project Americas. What was the initial idea, and what seems to be confirmed for the future of GTA 6 after its launch?
Project Americas. This code name has been circulating for a long time, associated with the wildest rumors about GTA 6. The original idea, according to several sources and insiders, was to create an absolutely gigantic game covering not only Vice City and its surroundings, but also potentially other cities and regions of North and South America, with perhaps even travel mechanics between them. A project of immense ambition.
Absolutely. A GTA that would cover multiple countries or continents? It seemed almost too good to be true. What's left of it today?
What seems to have happened, and which has been corroborated notably by a serious report from Bloomberg, is that Rockstar had to revise the scale of the project for the initial launch. The game will therefore focus on Leonida, the fictional state including Vice City and its surroundings, which is already a huge map in itself. But, and this is where it gets interesting, the Bloomberg report also confirms that the initial expansion plan is not abandoned. The idea would be to launch the game with Leonida, then add new cities and regions over time through major updates or DLC.
So the Project Americas might not be dead, but rather transformed into some kind of evolving platform. The map of GTA 6 could expand significantly after release.
That's exactly it. A bit like how GTA Online evolved and expanded over the years, but this time applied to the single-player map and probably online too. We could imagine seeing, a few years after release, a new city, a new region, with its own missions, its own activities. It allows Rockstar to release the game within a reasonable time frame, well, reasonable by Rockstar standards, while maintaining this long-term vision of a constantly expanding world. It's quite an exciting prospect for the future of the game.
It's clear it promises long-term support. If we try to summarize all this, it seems like GTA 6 is heading towards a kind of ultra-detailed criminal life simulation, right?
That's really the feeling that emerges, yes. Every system we've talked about, the police, the AI, the physics, the interactions, the inventory, the vehicles, even the relationship between characters, everything seems to contribute to creating a more coherent, more responsive world where the player's actions have more tangible and realistic consequences. We are moving away a bit from the pure chaotic sandbox of some older GTAs towards something more immersive, more systemic. Even details like the promised sound improvements, more realistic weapon noises, more differentiated impacts, or the potential integration of crowd control mechanics seen in the heists of GTA 5 into the basic gameplay all contribute to this overall vision.
The table is frankly impressive. This level of detail, this interconnection between systems, clearly aims for an unprecedented realism and immersion for the series, and perhaps even for open-world video games in general.
Absolutely. Every element seems to have been rethought to work in harmony with the others, to create this living and credible ecosystem.
But then it raises a fundamental question, perhaps the biggest unknown, with this strong emphasis on realism, simulation, consequences. What room will be left for pure madness, absurd chaos, this total freedom to do anything, which is also, and perhaps especially, the DNA of GTA? Can the two coexist?
This is the big challenge for Rockstar, finding the perfect balance between this new systemic depth and the immediate fun, the excess, the cathartic aspect that made the franchise successful. Could too much realism curb freedom and enjoyment? Or on the contrary, will this increased realism make chaos even more spectacular and rewarding when we decide to blow everything up? I tend to think they are aware of this issue and will try to preserve this duality. Realism for immersion and consequences, but always the possibility of going off track and turning the city into an absurd playground.
We hope so. And the other big question is, of course, the realization of the famous Project America's post-launch. Will this ambition to expand the world really come true? At what pace? In what form? It remains an immense potential, but also a gamble on the future. Depth was fascinating. We can't wait to learn more, obviously. Thank you very much for all these analyses based on research.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to break all that down.
If you enjoyed this discussion, if you are as eager as we are to discover GTA 6, feel free to leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming analyses. We will try to closely follow all the new information.
Yes,
And comment, tell us which innovations excite you the most or perhaps worry you.
Next time, we could perhaps look more closely at the narrative aspect, the characters, the theories about the story of 5. What do you think?
Excellent idea. There is a lot to say about Lucia, Jason, and the potential themes of this installment.
Perfect. So see you very soon for a new analysis. Until then, take care.
See you next time.